it seems like you're juggling two responsibilities when it comes to being in that position for a G League team.
Yep.
On one hand, you want to be competitive. You want to compete for championships, just like any other competitive franchise team in the world.
Yep.
But on the other hand, you want to get these guys in a position to where they're being looked at in a positive light by NBA franchises.
100%.
These guys are in the G League. I'm sure that they're thankful for the opportunity.
Yep.
But at the same time, they want to rise the ranks. They want to be in an actual NBA capacity for a team, and that's the whole reason why the G League exists. It's a feeder system. It's a developmental system. So how do you go about balancing those responsibilities? Number one being in a competitive environment where you still want to win.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you still want to develop these guys and get them to the position where they're moving on, and maybe that leaves you in a position to where you're trying to juggle those two things at the same time. Like, walk us through what that looks like for you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we had, from where Justin Minaya started with us, I kind of had him penciled in as like, I can't guarantee how much he's going to play. I don't really know what his role looks like. I love how he plays in college. He's like a glue guy in college on a good Providence team. He comes to us. He was a glue guy immediately, but then by end of the year, he was one of our best players. Mm-hmm. And now with, the Portland Trailblazers, he's a completely different player. He's worked on his offensive game. He's still defensively elite. So that was the goal all along. But also he helped us win games, and we have the most passionate fans in the G League, in my opinion. Like, our home crowd, I think, honestly, was better than some NBA home crowds, and we were about half full in our arena. Mm-hmm. Some of the games got up to about 10,000, but I think by the end we're averaging about 5,000, about that. Mm-hmm. But so it's really important for our fans to win, for our franchise to win, especially because we're not developing. We don't have assignment players. We don't have like I worked with the Lakers. We had Taylor Horton-Tucker, Isaac Bonga, Thomas Bryant. We had all these young prospects that we had to develop. Obviously, we wanted to win too.
Sure.
But now it's like win, and then hopefully you get some call-ups too. That's the goal of ours.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you're dealing from the roster management perspective, for the Capitanes in comparison to other G League teams, is it easier or harder from a strategic planning to set the trajectory of these players and whether they're going to be on the roster? Because it seems like with the other G League players, you for the most part understand who's going to be elevated and when.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not so sure. With the Capitanes, they might go play professionally in another country, or they might get signed, out of nowhere. I'm not sure. So how hard is it to even plan where the roster is going to be from the beginning of the season to the end, and then the next year and even 2 years?
I do think it's, in my opinion, so we don't have as much money to spend. We don't have NBA contracts that we can spend.
Right.
We don't have two ways. We don't have a first-round pick from the NBA that we can do. But I think it's a little bit easier in that we have more clarity, and that when I am recruiting players, when I am recruiting, Jaleel Okafor, it's like we're not going to have a young assignment player. I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to start, but you're going to play big minutes. It's like you're Jaleel Okafor. I mean, you're not going to come off you're not going to not play.
Right.
So that makes, honestly, I think that makes my job a little easier. Now, if players want immediate money, if they want, that maybe that's overseas, maybe that's another G League team, maybe that's a different type of contract. But for us, if you want to come play to win, if you want to also, develop your game, I think we have the best playing situation in the G League.
Yeah.
Love that.
For a G League contract.
Right.
Sure. Makes
Right.
sense.